Welcome back to another episode of the Get Back Coach, presented by Apollo Media. Today, we have ACC talk, and who better than to have the person, the man that runs It Just Means Less. Micah is here to join us. A reoccurring guest, okay? Took last year off, but it's good to have you back, man.
Yeah, I guess you got to send me down to AAA last year. It's fine. It happens to the best of us, Sometimes you just gotta, it's you gotta get back, You know what I'm saying? You just gotta get back to the show, and now I'm here again, so I'm glad to be back.
Get back to the Get Back Coach. I think we're on the same wavelength there, Jake. I did get to see Micah at a Rice football game, which was a lot of fun. But definitely great to have you back on the show. How have things been going?
Good, man. It's as someone that works full time in college athletics and obviously then does it on the side for fun, never ends. Everyone complains about the portal and all the other craziness. Now imagine that being your full-time job. That's why when people get mad at coaches, I'm like, you know what? I kind of get it. It's kind of annoying. So, there was no such thing as an off season for me this year. So that's definitely a new one for me, but hey, we'll get the good thing. Good thing it's fun, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're having fun.
Yeah. Micah, really quick, for the people watching, I see your collection of lanyards back there. How many do you think you have? Are those from all the different places you've been?
So this is going to be the even cockier part of all of this.
Do you know how many?
This is only the baseball ones. All the football ones, basketball, from my full-time job, all that fun stuff, bowl games. Minus the Gator Bowl. For some reason, the Gator Bowl is in here from this past year. Probably because it's a fond memory for me as a Virginia fan. But every other football and basketball and all those goofy ones are actually at my office at work. So I probably have 200.
Yeah.
There's at least 100 here. I got 35 or some this season. So I'd imagine just, stacking them over a few years. And, sometimes you get additional ones or, I think there's a random, like every regional you go to in college baseball, they give you one, even though they're pretty much the same, minus one's a darker shade of gray than the other one. So if you go to 4 different regionals, like I did, I got 4 different lanyards, even though I could have probably just used the one. So, it's, there's a lot back there.
Yeah.
I love that. My favorite ones are the NASCAR ones that I have, just because I'm still not sure how I got credentialed to be a NASCAR reporter here whenever we're in Texas, but it's a lot of fun. My favorite part is always the hospitality rooms. I'll be honest.
I like the access that nobody gets. That's my favorite. I like I probably shouldn't say this publicly, but I like to push the lengths the credential can get you. You don't know until you're told no. So, there's been some times I found myself in some places, and sometimes it's not even been on purpose. It's just been I'm just trying to find the press box. And next thing I know, I'm in a clubhouse. And I'm like, don't think I'm supposed to be in here, but since I'm here,
It's always great. Always funny to see where you end up in some different places, some different experiences. I have done my fair share of wandering. Now, the problem with certain events is some of the people, when you're lost, they don't take pity on you. They're just like, what are you doing here?
Correct.
Yeah.
I've had my fair shares of uh-ohs, so I just like what the good ones though,
Yeah.
When in doubt, just act like you belong there.
Yeah, that's the nice thing too, is with my full-time job, I kind of know at the bare minimum what kind of looks like, hey, definitely don't go in there.
Yeah.
Or you can probably get in there. And as long as you kind of just mind your business, you're not walking around filming every single thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times those, the cool, unique things I've seen, I don't got no photo evidence of it because I just mainly want to be able to look at it and be like, hey, I can see I saw this part of a facility, or I saw, I've seen some coaches' offices, and I'm like, did not think I'd say I'd seen that. So,
That's cool. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, we are going to talk about the ACC. So let's start with, I think, an easy one here. Who are the national title contenders for the ACC? I think we have a pretty good idea who. I think there's one team ahead of everybody else. But, Micah, who are teams that you think legitimately can win the national title in the ACC this year?
Legitimately, probably just Miami. I mean, Louisville has maybe an argument for it if everything clicks, but again, the sport is just becoming so deep. It's hard for me to even like, it when I see Notre Dame's preseason #1 in Phil Steele's magazine, it's hard for me to even fathom that. So like, just the way the sport kind of changes year on year with the amount of portal pieces and everything, it's getting a little weird for me to kind of keep track of who can all do it. But I mean, Miami definitely feels like the clear cut. They're built like an SEC or a Big Ten team would be. I mean, Louisville kind of fits that same mold. But that's the other thing too, is I think there's not enough value in programs that have been there and done that. Like, again, like I would like to say that SMU could do it, but I mean, they have one playoff experience, and you, as you know, as a Penn State guy, didn't necessarily go very well for them.
No,
so
it was
it's kind of hard to
close-ish.
think they could win a national title when they can't even win a first round game. Yeah. Same thing with even a Clemson, really.
Yeah. I mean, like SMU, that game, the first quarter and the halfway through the second quarter was close, and then Penn State just started to like kind of suffocate them. I guess same thing you said Clemson too with Texas. I think Clemson kind of got a bad draw that year. But let's go back to Louisville for a second, because I have them kind of like almost like a dark horse where like no one's really talking about them, but like they have some guys coming back. Jeff Brom is a fine coach. He just has to make sure he doesn't hit that letdown spot, which I feel like Jeff Brom teams always end up doing.
Yeah, they definitely seem to have that tendency. They've also had some injury issues that feels like the last few years that have kind of like last year's team was a better than a 9-4 team, but injuries kind of had other things to do with that. I mean, the problem is, Jeff Brom has always been the quarterback guy. He's always just seemed to hit. And then last year with Weston Moss, not Weston Moss. My brain's still in baseball mode, but it just doesn't hit right with Moss last year. So, it's just, are you, in that kind of piece with Lincoln Kleinholtz this year? Like, I don't know. Like, it could hit, it couldn't. I mean, Isaac Brown is an absolute dude, but you can't rely on just him to win you football games. And their schedule, I mean, the front half of it, like, I mean, two of their first 3 games are against legitimate top 25 teams. They go, right. if they start the season 3-0, and then like, not to like, always say, oh, an FCS team can pull an upset, but like Villanova was a semifinalist last year in the FCS playoffs. So it's not like you're getting a cakewalk FCS team either to like, just walk out there and, lick your wounds if you have a tough one with Ole Miss in Nashville. So they're going to get kind of a pretty rough slate for an early start to the season for a team that obviously has a lot to prove.
Mm-hmm. So we talked Miami, contender, Louisville also there. Is there maybe a third team that you can say is like a dark horse?
Yeah, I mean, when I go dark horse, I go outside like top 4, top 5 options. So if we're going that way, then I have a different answer. But if you're just saying like who like might that third team be, I think it is SMU. I mean, SMU is just, again, Kevin Jennings, he's back. Like having that type of, experience on your offense. Rhett Lashley is, in my opinion, my favorite coach in the ACC and maybe even the best one, just what he has to do, what he's had to do. Mario obviously has the argument. Dabo, I mean, in terms of who is the best coach in the ACC all time, it's Dabo. But, in terms of right now, I really like what Rhett Lashley's done. I mean, again, I know it's shoulda, coulda, woulda, but a bad first half against Cal, and they're in the ACC championship game last year. As a Virginia fan, I mean, obviously we lost to Duke, but I think that's for different circumstances. I think SMU finds their way into the playoff, and then again, that's back-to-back playoff seasons in their 2 years in the ACC. It's a completely different story with SMU than maybe what we're talking now, a team that, barely eked out a win against, Arizona in the Holiday Bowl last year. So, like, kind of a different scenario when it comes to that with SMU. So I think they're like, if you're going to say like that third team to kind of push, a Louisville or a Miami. Yeah, like I think SMU, like I think the SMU Louisville game on September 19th in Louisville is one of those like circle it, could be like the de facto play-in game for the ACC championship. Who gets to draw Miami later in the year?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess that's one end of the spectrum, teams that could possibly surprise in the ACC. Let's go to the other end of the spectrum. Is there a team that you think is going to be most likely to have a disappointing season compared to their expectations?
Yeah, I'm gonna get clipped. I'm gonna get absolutely crapped on because of who my favorite team is. Virginia Tech is so overrated right now, guys. What are we doing?
There it
They
is.
did nothing last year, and I get it. They're a whole new team. Everyone's acting like they have a chance to win the ACC this year. Like, I mean, okay, I get it. Like, I know it's one of the questions we're going to get to later, so I don't want to do any spoilers. But like, James Franklin, clearly a good hire. Like, I mean, it's the right move. And again, keeping Brent Pry on staff shows you that like it wasn't necessarily that Pry was a cancer. It's just he wasn't meant to be a head coach. And I think most folks would say, I think Brent Pry might even be willing to say that if he gave him some truth serum, right? Like, it's not that Virginia Tech's not capable, right? Again, I'm a Virginia fan. I grew up 30 minutes from Blacksburg. I know what Virginia Tech looks like when it's in its prime. And I've been on the wrong end of the rivalry more times than I want to count. But like, to act like this team's just magically going to flip a switch, they've had one winning season in the last 5 years. This is not some program that just had, like a rough 1 or 2 stretch. Like, it takes time. I know in the portal era, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit quicker to turn things around. But everyone that's acting like Virginia Tech's just going to come in because James Frank, like, I've seen them preseason top 25, and I'm sitting there like, look at the roster that they have against Virginia. Like, I still think Virginia looks better on paper. Like, I don't understand. Like, I know the schedule is a little bit more favorable, it looks like, for the Hokies in some sense, but like, they have to go to SMU. They have to go to Miami. They have to go to Clemson. They have to go to Cal. By the way, the team I would have said my dark horse would have been if we went deeper into the dark horse in the ACC. Like, I'm very high on Cal this year.
Ooh.
That's 4 teams that I think that they're just going to lose to on the road in ACC play. Mm-hmm. And now we're saying 8-4. And again, like, that's assuming that they go to Maryland and win and beat Pitt on a Friday night at home, or beat Georgia Tech at home, or, again, beat Virginia, who I think is trending in the right direction under Tony Elliott. Like, it's mind-boggling to me that like from a 3-9 to, like, people are saying 9-3, 8-4 team. I'm just like, I get it. They've gotten a lot better. I'm not pretending like they're not better than last year's team, but are they really 6-5 wins better than last year? I don't think so.
I mean, I was looking at it. I was thinking 7-5. I do think they can get to 8-4. I do. And the thing is, and what I like to look at is returning production. Even if the returning production is bad, or even if the returning production didn't do well this previous season, it looks like they're returning 14 starters, according to what I was looking at. And then they also have some guys who played a little bit for Penn State, and also have guys who Penn State was kind of, they were behind people, so they didn't really get a strong shake at Penn State. So I do think they can get to 8-4, and I think that'd be a very good year for them. So I think I get it. But to your point, they're not on the same wavelength. They're not even close to Miami. Maryland's going to, like you're saying, Maryland's going to be tough. I think they could potentially win the other games, but that's a lot of 50-50 balls against a program that hasn't really been winning lately.
I'm going to age myself. I'm 30, guys. I don't know how old everyone is on this, but I'm 30, which is still crazy for me to say. I graduated high school in 2014, so that's when I technically left the Blacksburg area for more than 6 months out of the year, because college I went off a couple hours away. They've won 8 games 3 times since I graduated high school. Virginia has done that too. Like, again, this is like, everyone thinks about, Virginia Tech, like, enter Sandman, this is a risk. Like, they haven't done it. And it's not like it's just been a Brent Pry problem. Like, Frank Beamer was losing it down the stretch. Mm-hmm. Justin Fuente could not do it. Like, yes, they own Virginia. This might sound like the Virginia fan. I get it all the time, Hokies. Like, it's the Virginia fan that's salty. No, you own us in the rivalry. I am never going to shy away from what actually presents itself. But I'm also presenting you stats and proof that, like, you guys aren't what you think you used to be. Michael Vick's not walking through the door, guys. Tyrod Taylor's not walking through the door. It's just been mind-boggling to me. Everyone just thinks, Virginia Tech, that's like Virginia Tech's floor is 8-4. They've done it 3 times in the last 12 years. So you cannot, like, they haven't had 8 wins pre-COVID.
So,
So it's a crazy world we're in, and I think it's only fair. You look at post-COVID, Virginia's done it twice.
so let's like, because again, it was in our plans. Let's just dive into it now. So, like you said, James Franklin, good hire. Do you think he can turn that around and get Virginia Tech back to at least close to where they were?
Absolutely. I mean, again, like I'm on record to say that I think the way that people treated Justin Fuente down the stretch was terrible. I mean, he was getting on the 10 wins. It wasn't like, like Virginia Tech fans live in kind of a lighter version of Nebraska world in my head. They think that like they are just automatically the big boys on the block. This is the Big East days where you just ran everything, or even early ACC days when they first joined. Like they obviously were like, I remember going to the Tyrod Taylor Nebraska versus Virginia Tech game at Lane Stadium when it was a top 15 matchup. And like, that was awesome. And I remember did Danny Cole catch it in the Sugar Bowl against Michigan for Virginia Tech? Like I remember those Tech teams. It's not like it's that far off, but people act like that's, again, the norm, and it's not been that way. I think when James Franklin, when I saw that notification come across my phone, I won't say the word keep your podcast in a clean version, but I'll say it's a 4-letter word that started with F. And I was, not happy about it as a Virginia fan because I know what he's capable of. And I think similar to what Penn State, like I understand he never won the big game, so I understand why Penn State made the decision to move on. But again, I also think he was kind of given a tougher time than I think it was fair, considering how many games he did win there. And I think if he does the same thing he did at Penn State at Virginia Tech, he's going to be praised for it.
So I'll say this, and we do have someone in the chat with a nice little thing. Can he recruit the same way he did at Penn State? That's my question. Right now, I believe they are in the teens for recruiting. And here's the thing, and Jay, I've said this a lot with James. What he recruits is pretty much what he gets on the field. When he was at Penn State, he never had a top 5 class. He only had 2 top 10 classes in 12 years, but he was always between like 8 and like 15-ish, which is crazy because where do Penn State teams usually finish? Right in like the lower half of the top 10 or in the early teens. So I think that is a good indication. I think he can. I think he is right now. I think it's a good hire. And here's the other thing, and Micah, you'll probably love this. The legendary coach at Virginia Tech, Frank Beamer, right? What is his record against top 5 opponents? Do you know it?
I don't.
It's like 1 in 29 or something like that, which is like James is like 2 in. He's like 2 and 15. So like this is a place that I feel like you could keep winning 10 games a year and, be appreciated almost, where Penn State, it was like, we're running out of gas. We keep losing. So, but yeah.
And I think one other piece, go ahead, Micah. All right. I think one other piece of the equation too is it feels like in the Big Ten, you kind of had those overlords, right? Like Ohio State is always going to be Ohio State. I feel like the top of the ACC, now we know how good Miami is a little more open, right? And so there's a little bit more to reach for. I still think Miami is clearly the best team, but they haven't had the run of sustained dominance like an Ohio State has had. There's not really like Michigan who is up there. Because with Clemson taking a step back, like I think there's been times where Florida State's been up there, where Clemson has been up there, where Miami obviously now is. But I just don't think it's been sustained as much. And so I think that there's just more room for him to achieve at Virginia Tech compared to what he did at Penn State, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if it'll work because like what made Virginia Tech so successful for so long was they kept kids home. Like the mantra, "This is home," was a perfect summary of the way Virginia Tech recruited. But now in the era where money talks, like these kids don't care. Like, Ohio is not a far car ride if you got an extra $1 million in your bank account. You can easily make that work. Yeah. And I know, again, no one ever sees the exact numbers, but I know enough people with my industry and what I do. Like Virginia Tech's not top half of the ACC in spending. And that's not like fair to James Franklin. That's not saying that he won't work, but I just don't know if Virginia Tech's ever going to return to consistency 8, 9, 10 win seasons. I think they're going to get some of those. Like, I think in the ACC, I think most programs should strive for 8+ win seasons 3 out of every 5 years because it's such an open league, but especially with a brand like Virginia Tech. But again, I will die on the hill. I think Enter Sandman's the coolest tradition I've ever seen. I've been to 102 FBS stadiums for games, and I'm a Virginia fan saying that it's cool. You've been there. Like, I can understand why kids want to play there, but again, nowadays, do you want to play in front of the really cool entrance, or do you want to play with an extra $1.5 million in your back pocket? I know my answer. I don't know about you guys, but and I like to think I'm a pretty morally just person, and I still would extra 1.5 million. So
I
that's
get
where we're at. So like, I'm curious if it's going to work. Again, like I said, my first response as a Virginia fan was, darn it, like this isn't going to necessarily be what I like. I liked Brent Pry kind of feeling like a sitting duck, but at the same time, like, I just don't know. And again, like, it's just one of those things where the schedule this year just doesn't help when it comes to all the expectations. I'm kind of, not all, but some of these dark horse expectations I'm seeing for Virginia Tech, when it's like, I mean, sure, yeah, if they go to SMU and Miami and Clemson and win these games, like, sure, and they're probably playing in Charlotte for the championship, but are you favoring them in those games right now? I'm not.
Yeah.
So,
no, all wonderful points. Jay, before you go, I do have a team I think is going to disappoint. I think Florida State is. I think Norvell will be fired before the end of the year, and I mean, looking at Florida State, they don't turn a whole bunch. They don't return as much as I like. Their transfer class is only ranked 41st. I think Norvell's getting fired, and I don't know if they're going to go bowling, but 6-6 isn't exactly going to save his job. I think Florida State is going to be your disappointing team.
Yeah, my thing with that is I think like Norvell almost feels like a sitting duck. So I don't know that.
Yeah, it's a lame duck
relative to their expectations, that it's going to be that. Like, I know the fans are probably going to have higher expectations, but I think around the country, the expectations aren't as high for Florida State. One team that I think is going to take a step back and maybe be a little bit disappointed compared to where they've been the past couple of years is Georgia Tech. I just think it's going to be tough to keep up that success. Like, I love what they've done as a program. I like Brent Key as a coach and what he's been able to do, instilling that physicality. The Georgia Tech is a team that I love watching. I just feel like they're kind of primed for a step back here. And I think that they're likely to disappoint compared to what the expectations are.
So like I'm curious, Jay, when you say that, because like it's so on my thing, I put 2 teams, but I figured Virginia Tech was not going to be mentioned by the group. Plus, it's just more fun when it comes from the Virginia fan for the clip purposes, right? But Florida State was my second option, but Georgia Tech never really crossed my mind because in the last 5 years, it's 3 wins, 5 wins, 7 wins, 7 wins, and then last year was the outlier at 9. Do you think they're missing a bowl game? I don't think they're doing that. So like in reality, are they disappointing you when the expectation really has been 6 or 7 wins? That's where like I'm kind of like pushing back a little bit on that. Like I just don't.
And I guess that could be me expecting them to take a step forward and then arguing with myself. Maybe I'm not as plugged in.
They have the toughest schedule in the ACC too, so that's part of the reason. I also kind of factored some of that into that, like both ways. Like yes, like it means more losses, but also like when you have Georgia and Tennessee and Colorado on your schedule. Oh, and by the way, you still have Louisville, Clemson, Pitt as well. Like those are top half ACC, 3 Power 4 teams.
And you got to play Stanford at night on the West Coast, 10:30.
Never fun.
Right? Like that. That's always a weird one.
You know what's strange about this? Like, Micah, you just said their records. Why did I feel like Georgia Tech had better records the last couple of years? Like obviously last year,
just insane schedules. I mean, again, like when they went 7-6 in 2023, they played Louisville, Ole Miss, Miami, Clemson, Georgia. That's 5 top 25 teams on their schedule. And one of them. Like when they played in 24, they played that top 10 Florida State.
Playing them tough. Like they were in those games.
That top 10 Florida State team in Ireland. I mean, we all know that ended up not being that, but they played that Florida State team. They played a top 25 Syracuse team at the time. Again, ended up not being that. Louisville, Notre Dame, Miami, Georgia. Like they've played these games that have kind of been like Again, last year, right? They went to Colorado. They hosted Clemson. Like that's the thing, like in the ACC, they always get Clemson every year. It's one of their crossover rivalries they keep. Like so, they're always getting Clemson. You're always playing a top 5 Georgia. They do a good job of trying to schedule an SEC team outside of Georgia, which I mean, I get it, but also like, do you want wins or no? Like, a program. I mean, I love the Georgia Tech being aggressive in the scheduling world, but you're probably not there yet to be playing, Tennessee and Ole Miss every single season. Like maybe like schedule, and this is going to sound terrible because I'm going to make someone mad, but like a Mississippi State or a Missouri where like you're not as far behind, as maybe some of these other teams. And again, they also do a lot of times like they do it on the road or they do it like if it's a home game in Atlanta, it's still at Mercedes-Benz. So it's not really a home game. Like it's just an interesting scheduling piece for them. And again, good on them. But I think that's part of it is like you feel like, oh, they're better than what they are because they are. They're better than the record says, but the record is the record.
Yeah. I have one more team to throw in here because I don't know how they're going to shake out. But like, Micah, you might have more info than me, but like Fran Brown was a kind of a spark plug hire for Syracuse. Last year they go 3-9. I don't know how this is going to shake out because like their transfer portal class doesn't look crazy to me. Doesn't have a lot of returning production. I feel like people are waiting for Syracuse to burst on the scene, and I don't think we're going to get that this year either. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are.
Well, I don't think they're going to be very good this year because the schedule just doesn't really plan out for them very well. Like, again, like I said 1,000 times, I'm higher on Cal. I would not want to play Cal the second week of the season because I think Cal has a better identity than Syracuse does right now and who they are. You have to go to Pitt. You have to go to Virginia. Like, do I think North Carolina is going to be a world beater? No, but you do go to Carolina. I would much rather play that in the Dome. You have Clemson. Like your home games are Clemson, SMU, and Louisville. You're probably going to get one of them, but you're probably not getting two. So like that's a 1-2 record at home. Oh, by the way, Notre Dame's your last home game of the season. Like you're kind of like at one of those points where like you might be limping down the stretch to where you got 3 wins, and oh, by the way, Notre Dame's coming to town. Like it just I don't think like. Again, last year for Syracuse, they got banged up. So I mean, they started the season 3-1, and then they just got so banged up in that Clemson game that it was kind of all bets are off. And again, like that Duke team and SMU team ended up like they had Duke, SMU, Pitt, Georgia Tech, and back-to-back weekends who ended up being the top half. Like all 4 of them tied for the ACC second place. So like you ran into the best ACC teams after getting banged up. Like it's just kind of tough to like. I mean. As you say, bad puck luck as a hockey fan, like it was just bad puck luck, like puck didn't go your way. Like it happens sometimes. So like, are they 3-9 bad? I want to say no, but the schedule might make them 3-9, but I don't see like, I think this could be one of those things where they're playing Boston College the second to last weekend of the season. They're 5-5. And it's like, all right, you got to go win this one in Chestnut Hill, or I guess hope to God you pull off a miracle against Notre Dame because I mean that's kind of what it feels like it's going to be kind of inching towards for them if it's a bowl season.
Yeah, I could see them almost like how Maryland is in the Big Ten, where they're good in the beginning of the year and then those depth issues start to roll their head, and then Maryland kind of falls apart. And I feel like Syracuse is going to be very similar with that one.
September Maryland, September Syracuse.
September Maryland is Syracuse the new September Maryland. Jay, do you have anyone else?
I don't have anyone else.
I don't have anyone else. Micah, did you say you had another?
My disappointment? No, at Florida State. You already mentioned that.
But Florida State, okay.
But that one also felt weird to say because like I feel like we just all expect them to suck this year. So like, is it really a disappointment
I know.
if you expect them to stink?
I just think their fans are waiting. And I think everyone's waiting for them.
I've joked, guys, because so my bye week at Lamar, so I have to travel to all the Lamar games. So I only get one weekend free all season where I can go wherever I want. And September 19th, I've got my 2 options. Do I go to Louisville, SMU in Louisville? I've been there 1,000 times to Louisville, but always a good time. Again, like I said, ACC de facto, probably playing game in a sense. Or do I be a sicko and go watch Florida State in Tuscaloosa?
I mean, they beat
Because
Alabama last
part
year.
of me goes,
Yeah,
you know,
they
wouldn't it
did.
just be hilarious if like Florida State's like this 17-point underdog, and now everyone's calling for Norvell's head, and now it becomes everyone's calling for DeBoer's head because Norvell beats Alabama in. I mean, I'm not saying they do that, but like it's like the wouldn't it be hilarious sickos committee type like response and I've never been to Alabama for a game, so like would just be even like to give y'all an idea, the second cheapest ticket for an Alabama game on third party resells all season is the Florida State game. If I would have told you that 5 years ago, you would have thrown up like and laughed at me. I mean, like you're like, what are you on? What's like? Where do you get some? Like, that's the truth. Like, no one expects it to be a game, and no one expected it to be a game last year. I mean, granted, Tallahassee, whole different story. Shout out to Florida State for winning that game because it made the Virginia upset look so much better on national television. But you know, like, yeah, it's just for me with Florida State, I'm just kind of like, if they make a bowl game this year, I think I'm going to make myself go to it just because I'm going to be so shocked it happened.
Okay, so Mike Norvell, what week is he fired?
Ooh, let me pull up the schedule.
And then someone in our chat also said, "Do they bring Jimbo back?" I'm gonna guess.
Honestly, I'd love
artistically that. Incredible. I don't think they do.
That split was so nasty. I think
that what
the split between Jimbo and Florida State, I think, was a little.
Yeah, that was a bad split.
I mean, Bobby Petrino did go back to Arkansas as the coordinator.
Bobby Petrino. We saw Central Florida take back Scott Frost.
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna say the dumb thing out loud. Imagine Florida State beats SMU on Labor Day Monday. They also, for those that don't know, do play Week 0. I honestly forgot that. They play New Mexico State Week 0. So like there's a realistic world where they're 2-0. They have the bye week before Bama. Florida State off of a bye is pretty good, guys. I don't know if you've seen the numbers, but they go to Tuscaloosa. They shock the world. Then they have Central Arkansas, another game like you're kind of like they hopefully should win, right? Then they've got Virginia at home, revenge for last year. And then it's at Louisville, at Miami, Clemson, and then they lose at Boston College and he gets fired. Wouldn't that just be the most Florida State thing of all time?
Well, I'm
going to say he's fired on Halloween after they lose to Clemson. If he gets fired, like if he gets fired, it's going to be Halloween after they lose because it's Clemson at home. As someone that attended those games back in the glory days where those were top 15 matchups in both places, it just will like I don't think Clemson's going to be a top 15 team this year. So like if they're even ranked when they meet like Clemson, it's just not going to feel good for Florida State. And they've got at BC, at Pitt, like those, like at BC's a game you kind of almost like you can win. So you're almost like just cut it off now before you have to try to justify another week and then another week and then another week. So yeah, that's where I'm thinking.
All right, let's get an over under in here. Micah, is there a team that you think is going to shatter their over under?
I haven't seen the over unders. That's I guess the biggest thing. So do you have those by chance, or do you have like at least what book you want me to go look at?
So here, this is what I have. I have Duke. I like Duke over 5.5.
Okay.
Again, I don't think Duke's going to blow anyone's doors off, but I do like Manny Diaz.
Let me see if I can find. I'm just going to find ACC win totals. First one I Googled.
Yeah. Jay, do you have
Athlon Sports? I don't know where they pull theirs from, but I'm just going to go off their win totals. BC's at 3.5. I don't know. Okay, I know mine. Cal over 6.5. I think Cal's like I don't think Cal's. I don't think they're missing a bowl game. So like obviously 6 technically hits the under, but if I don't think they're missing a bowl game, then I'm gonna take the odds there, just because again like Georgia Tech at 6.5 is intriguing to me, but what we just talked about, right? They might be better than a 7-win team, but they might end with only 6 because the schedule just doesn't like them enough, Yeah, I think that one feels like not the home run pick, but I feel that's the one I definitely, that one I feel most confident because even like Virginia Tech said at 6.5, like I may have just dogged on them, but I still feel confident they're going to a bowl game. So similar principle, right? I'm not going to hammer the under on them, but I'm also not going to hammer the over because again, I don't think they're necessarily an 8-win team. So Give me Cal over 6.5 is like my over under like most confident pick.
Dang. Jay, you were agreeing with that, Cal?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Tosh Lapoy, and I don't want to get too much into it because I think we're going to talk about this a little bit later. So I'm going to scramble and try to come up with another one. But Cal is just, it feels like the schedule lines up nice. Like I feel like they just have some stuff to build off of. I think the portal's good. I look at like, what Cal has talent wise and their schedule, and it just feels like Micah said, like I don't think they're missing a bowl game. So I'm going to go in a different direction. Wake Forest at 5.5. I think that could be one that's interesting too.
That was actually my second option. So you're going over?
I'm going over.
Yeah, that was my second one. So I'm glad you said it because I was like, I might take that one. I almost said, if you need me to pick a second one, that's the one I was leaning. I like Wake this year too.
Yeah, because you look at like, I mean, first of all, they get 2, let's call it what it is, free wins in Akron and Merrimack.
Whoa, as someone that grew up going to the Rubber Bowl, little dip scan over here. Don't sleep on what Akron's got building over there, man. They might get. They're not going to be Wake, but
Joe
might be a bowl team this year.
Joe Moorhead might have
something over there.
Joe Moorhead might have some tricks up his sleeve.
I mean, I love Maction as much as the next guy, but I don't know about that one. And, they have Miami. That's going to be a tough one. Like Purdue, I like Barry Odom, but I don't love what Purdue looked like last year. NC State, I'm really down on NC State, honestly. At Cal is going to be interesting because we just talked about that program. But I look at Wake Forest, and I think they're a team that could go bowling again, especially after how surprising they were last year, right? And it felt like they really outperformed relative to the expectations. So now Jake Dickert has something to build off of. I really think that they could be a team that clears that, goes to a bowl game, and all you need is 6 to get over that 5.5 mark.
Yeah.
And with their APR scores, maybe they'll be 5 and 7 and they'll win a bowl game anyways because they'll get put in because everyone wants to opt out.
Can you imagine the back door on that?
Oh man. All right, so we talked about some over-unders. Here. Micah, is there a team that you think is going to be the worst?
Yeah, I think it's Boston College.
That's what I have.
I'm just not, and like I feel bad because I don't think Bill O'Brien's a bad coach, and I don't think Bill O'Brien's necessarily the problem. I've heard some things about BC's spending. It's not great, guys. I'll tell you that much. It sounds like it might be, again, they're private, so you're not going to find the numbers, but people I've talked to, I'm very fortunate to be pretty close with some Stanford people, and they've told me, like, out of the private schools out there, like BC just almost seems to be operating almost below Power 4. And then you factor in, again, they're not in the recruiting hotbed that, like, some of these other schools in the ACC are, and then the ones that are, right? Like, again, that's where Penn State loves to feast, is that Northeast top kid, like that top kid from Massachusetts a lot of times ends up in blue and white and not, gold and, I guess, red, maroon, whatever they call their official color over there at BC. But, I just don't think they're, and again, the schedule just does them no favors from a confidence standpoint.
11 Power 4 teams.
Yeah, like you go to Cincinnati and then host Rutgers on a short week to start the season. Like, you're probably losing those. And, like, sure, you're going to beat Maine, but again, like we've all said, like, if you're Virginia, I like Maine,
the Black Bears.
Virginia Tech, right? Like, if Virginia Tech's going to have a special season, they have to go to Chestnut Hill and win that game in September. And then you're going to SMU, and you're going to Georgia Tech, and you're going to Notre Dame, and you're going to Miami. Like, I mean, Florida State's your homecoming game. Maybe there's a chance they don't have a coach, but then they also have the do it for what's his name? The coach at Hankins. Who's the guy that always gets hired, like, for Florida State to be the interim? Oh my goodness, I can picture him, but I'm forgetting his name.
Odell.
Odell something. Hagens. I don't know why I can't remember his. Anyways, but like
Odell Haggins.
They do it for him, right? Like, they magically rally and they go to Chestnut Hill.
Got fired. It's the coach got fired game.
Correct.
Coach got fired.
Dead cat bounce.
It's just, I just don't. I mean, defensively, they're not super strong. I just don't know how much they're going to score. Like, I just in a league where, again, like if I'm going to bet on a Fran Brown team to take a step forward, I will. I don't think Duke's going to regress terribly. I think Wake's going to be better. Like I don't want to tease it. We're going to get to a little Stanford conversation here at some point. It sounds like, I don't think Stanford's going to be as bad as they were last year. Like I just don't. I'm not super high on what BC has. And again, like a team that had a terrible year last year needs confidence at the beginning of the year, and they're not going to get it with the schedule.
Yeah. Syracuse was my other one that they could possibly falter, but I have BC. But Micah, how about do you think North Carolina can fall into there? Like they were so bad. I watched them in person last year play Clemson, and I'm looking to my friend and I'm thinking this is one of the worst coaching jobs I think I've ever seen in person at a Power 4 program. Like it was shockingly bad. And it seems like a circus behind the scenes. They don't have a great transfer class. I don't think it can't be that as bad as it was last year. Could it?
I think it's going to be worse.
You think so? I think I'm leaning there too.
I mean, they have the actual toughest schedule in the ACC. So that's the problem with North Carolina. Oh yeah. They think about TCU. Your FBS season start because they have ETSU. Shout out my former employer, go Bucks. And by the way, coached by a guy who has beaten UNC in his career when he was head coach of Charlotte, Will Hilly. But anyways, you've got TCU in Dublin, then you're at Clemson, then you got the bye week, but then you got Notre Dame at Pitt, at Duke, Syracuse at home, Miami at home, at UConn, a program that I don't know about you guys, but they're not the old UConn that we know and love. Like they actually
can but more is gone.
Compete, they're not.
I do love Jason Candle though.
Oh yeah, Jason Candle's there. Yep, that's true.
So and then they got Louisville at Virginia and NC State to end it. Like,
that's tough.
Yeah, like you just don't have a great schedule to help you. But I am a fan of Billy Edwards. I think that he can be potentially something that helps UNC's offense just look better than last year. But yeah, they have good receivers. Jordan Shipp's a really solid piece there, but I don't know. I mean, they could be the worst team. I have a hard time. Even like last year was the definition of a crap show, right? And they still went 4-8. So a part of me thinks it can't be as bad as last year, even with, because again, like there is not thankfully it's hard to beat it, but there's not been more drama this offseason than there was last year. So, at the bare minimum, it feels like they're at least now focusing on football to a point over there. So I know too, I know some donors at UNC that like when I asked them about it, when I saw them in Omaha, like they're like, we did not think 2025 was going to be like, we want Bill Belichick to be good in 2027, 2028. We're not worried about his first 2 years because we know he's the build it up. Like he's got the NFL style approach. He's not going to be the big portal, go all in for a team that's going to go 7-6. Like he's going to wait till he feels like the time is right to strike. And so will that work for him? I don't know, but I'll at least trust him. That again, like the expectation isn't necessarily either to be great. So there's not a lot of like if we talk hot seat, I don't think he's on the hot seat unless they like win 2 games or less. Yeah, because I just don't think they're not quick to act on it. They know what they signed up for.
Their over under is at 4.5, and I think I might put some stuff on that under.
Yeah, that under feels pretty solid considering the amount of tough games on the schedule.
And just how much turnover. I mean, I think continuity is so important. And there are some guys that we've seen built with the portal. That whole team was basically portal last year, and it feels like the same thing again.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, Jay.
What's up?
Oh, right. Are we going to talk?
Yeah, my bad. Here's the thing, guys. I have been sick this week. I have gotten a total of 2 hours of sleep over the past few days. I apologize. I'm definitely not running my best. But Micah, you kind of hinted at it, talking about some Stanford talk. Who do you think made the better coaching hire of the 2 California schools in the All Coast Conference? between Stanford and Cal. You have Tavita Pritchard there at Stanford, Tosh Lapoy at Cal. I feel like I know which direction you're going to go, but we would definitely wanted to bring this up.
So you might not know where I'm going to go. We're going long term. I'm going Pritchard.
Okay.
If we're going just year 1, year 2, give me Lapoy. Like, I think what Tosh is going to do, like, he's going to make Cal relevant this year, where, Tavita's going to need some time. Like, but he's the Stanford man, and he knows what it. I mean, again, the era has changed, so I do put some like question mark into. Oh well, he knows how it worked with Harbaugh there, but he was there. He was a player there. He was around those Rose Bowl teams. Like, my favorite thing, I think I still don't know how I made it out of the Bay Area alive, where both Clemson and Stanford fans liked me. Like, I'm surprised they didn't make me pick one to love and hate the other. But, my favorite thing is the the Cal Stanford beef, where like Stanford fans, every time they get a Rose Bowl memory, go, "Hey Cal, when was the last time you played in one of these?" It's just so funny to me. But like, Stanford knows like what they're going to be. I really like, I'll give Stanford a ton of credit because they don't act like there's something they're not. And so they're not rushing this. They went and got a guy that, if you're from the outside world, what are you doing? But if you know how Stanford works, and again, like, how are you going to get the checks from people that have a ton of money? Get someone that understands you. And that's what they did with Pritchard. So I think long-term, Stanford's in a really good spot, but I don't think it's going to show necessarily year 1, especially because last year wasn't necessarily that terrible. I mean, it wasn't great. They did win 4 games. It wasn't like they were like, that's an improvement from the last 4 seasons where they only won 3 each of those 4 years. So like, I don't know if, they're going to have 5 wins this year, but I also don't think they're going to be 2 wins. So I think long term, and I also too have a little bit of a worry that Tosh leaves if Cal gets going. I think there's a lot better chance Pritchard sticks around a little while longer just because of the ties and how he operates. I think, again, I'm maybe going way too overcomplicated on this answer, but I think, again, you ask me year 1, who's going to be the more successful coach? It's going to be Cal and Tosh. If it's going to go, long term, give me Pritchard and Stanford.
Now that makes sense. And Tosh Lapoy, I feel like, has been around as one of the best recruiters in the game for so long. I think that helps with giving Cal the boost right away with him as the head man. But I do think you're right. If he wins big in his first 2 years there at Cal, I would not be surprised to see him leave.
I mean, the fact he kept JKS there tells me everything I needed to know. I mean, like that guy, because that kid could have gone anywhere. I mean, you cannot tell me that half the SEC or more would not want them as their starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. I'm sure if Kirk Cincinnati could make him the starting quarterback over Hoover, he won't say that out loud, but I will. I think he would take JKS over Hoover.
Ooh. I love JKS. I think he's just an incredible.
The kid's an animal, and he did it as a freshman. I mean, he's just so good. Like, you give him some discipline. I mean, no disrespect to what this Cal staff was last year, but I mean, get him in the right system. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that's maybe some Hoover slander, but
I mean, he is a Rockwall Heath grad like myself, but this isn't the Big Ten show, so we won't get into the Josh Hoover talk too much. I mean, I definitely get what you're saying, and Stanford is such a unique place too. And I think you brought up some good points about needing to understand that. Jake, did you have anything that you wanted to add here on this coaching hire?
No, these were 2 coaches that I was actually curious about because I didn't know a whole lot too much about them. Like, again, when we talked about when we had our preview, I was a little bit more bullish on Tosh and Cal. Like, I think that was a pretty good hire. I didn't know much about Pritchard, so hearing Micah talk very highly of him is something I'm looking forward to because it's fun to root for Stanford and Cal. Really, both of them. It's fun to root for Stanford.
I'm telling you, like, the most fun I've ever had in a college football trip was I did the first ever games for Cal and Stanford with the ACC logo on their field. I saw a Thursday night Sac State versus San Jose State. Friday was TCU Stanford. Saturday was Cal or UC Davis versus Cal. And like, I've never had more fun in my entire life because those are 3 unique venues, 3 unique, like, Cal and Stanford are similar and different in so many ways. And it's just, no one ever talks about Bay Area. Again, I'm an East Coast guy to heart. I will always say that the West Coast sucks. Not literally, but I was raised to say that. But it was amazing, the football culture that does actually exist in the Bay Area. And both fan bases, though everyone gives them a hard time for not showing up, the ones that do, they love the sport just like any other SEC fan does.
Love that. So we've talked about the new coaches. Let's talk about some places that maybe will have new coaches after this season. I think we know at least one guy that we talked about, but who are the guys on the hot seat heading into the season, Micah?
I keep getting told, and I have defended him to the death, because I think what Dave Doran has done at NC State justifies not being talked about in this situation. Mm-hmm. But I think their win total was 6.5, I think is what I saw. Let me double check that before I'm misquoting them, and then it looks all silly. Sorry, 7.5. Mm-hmm. If he goes under and hits 7 wins, like NC State fans, they do invest. I will say, like, they spend, they show up. Like, they are kind of in that same Virginia Tech ballpark of, like, we're tired of 7 wins. We're tired of 6 wins. We're tired. Like, again, like, I think it's hard when it was 8 wins last year and it was disappointment, and it was 9 wins 3 years ago, and there was 8 wins before that and 9 wins before that. And, like, he keeps getting it done in those types of situations. But, when he plays Power 4 teams in bowl games, he never wins them, which is something that their fans always talk about. And even then they lost to ECU in the Military Bowl. And for those who don't know, that's the biggest rivalry that people don't know exists.
The battle for the victory barrel.
Yeah. Mike. So, it's one of those things where, and again, like the schedule this year, like I think the schedule this year kind of tells you what NC State's future is looking like, because you open week 0 and, well, now Charlottesville would have been Brazil. You lose to Virginia. Virginia's probably passed you in the pecking order in the ACC with what Tony Elliott's been doing. Then you've got a Richmond FCS team, should win, but again, not a bad FCS team. But then you go to Vanderbilt, a program that you've always seen yourself better than, granted, different leagues, all that stuff. But Vanderbilt's clearly started to surpass you. They beat you in Nashville. You're now 1-2. And then you've got App State, which you lose that game, you're probably done. Like, I mean, just straight up, because App State's not what it's been. It's in state. Again, like NC State prides itself on being the best football program in the state. And I've said this to my co-hosts on the show as an NC State alum. Like, I would like to argue that Duke's been more relevant, and that Wake's been more relevant. And then even Carolina's been more relevant in the last 10 years because they've played in the ACC championship game. Has NC State? No. So, there is a legitimate argument. And again, it doesn't get much better. You've got Louisville. They've got Stanford on the road, which, again, like going out to the Bay Area, weird things happen all the time. Just ask half those teams that have gone out there since they've joined the ACC. Then you've got, again, a Cal team, like I said, I'm high on. You've got Florida State at the end of the season, which I think you should assume you're going to win, but it is going to Tallahassee, so you never know. And then you've got North Carolina. Like, there's enough games on the schedule this year, like those last 2 games at Florida State, at North Carolina. If you lose one of those, that's probably not good for him, because that fan base is going to be like, we just lost to it. I mean, unless Florida State just shocks the world and is not a top 25 team at that point, or same thing with UNC. But based off the expectations for those 2 teams, like, you lose one of those and it doesn't matter that you got 8 wins. They're going to be like, why can't we be like, because that probably means it costs you a chance in Charlotte, or a chance at maybe an at-large, because that means you probably have an SEC win over Vanderbilt, or again, a win over a potential top 25 Louisville. So I don't like it, because I don't think he should be on the hot seat, but I feel like I hear his name every single season. And if they do what I think is possible, which is go under and go 7-5, because of what's on their schedule, like, again, you lose to Duke. There goes that argument that Duke might be the better football program in the state. And fans don't want to hear that. But if the evidence keeps showing it, again, they lost to Duke the last 2 times they've played them. Then they get 3 in a row, and they won the ACC title last year. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow.
I was so I have Dorian as like a warm seat when I did my blog on it. But I went to NC State, I want to say 4 years ago, and I was kind of surprised how many people were complaining about Dorian. Just saying like, oh, we're always mediocre, we're always average, we're 7-8 wins. And I'm like, but isn't that who you guys are? And now he's still doing that. I can only imagine what these people are saying. But I agree with you, Micah. I think that is a person that 7 wins they might be thinking, hey, maybe let's try something new. This has run its course.
Yeah, and he has been there for 14 years. I think there's just sometimes you get a little bit annoyed. And I could definitely see that with NC State fans. I've heard the talk as well, Jake, just kind of the grass isn't always greener, but
it's not.
Sometimes fans are just ready to move on. Sometimes programs are ready to move on. Sometimes coaches are ready to move on.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see Doran on the hot seat. I think a guy that is also on the hot seat, and I realize that, Micah, you said that UNC doesn't move fast, but if it's disastrous, like if it's bad, laughably bad again, I really think they can move on from Bill Belichick quickly. You look at he's a guy that I think we know he's towards the end of his coaching run. Like he's an older guy. UNC has done this twice in a row where it's coaches at the tail end, right? Mac Brown, and that's part of why it was so surprising to me that they went in this direction, right? Instead of getting a younger guy in there to kind of rejuvenate the program. I get that they're trying to run it more like an NFL squad, but I just
you can't. It's called you can't.
You can't, and now you have the GM getting in trouble. I just think that they may be ready to move on from Belichick quickly if things get as chaotic as I could see it happening this season.
Mm-hmm.
I just think nobody would want the job. That's why I don't know if they do it. Like, are you better off with Bill Belichick? Or are you better off grabbing some G5 guy that's going to bring zero? I mean, because at least you can still sell Bill Belichick. I know, like, even if it's disastrous, you can sell because you can look at his coaching career in the professional ranks. Like his first two Patriots teams were really bad. And I know it's different. Like we all would agree. Like when you draft a player, you can keep him you're guaranteed to keep him for a little while. Where every year is a new contract here in college football. But like, I think it's almost easier than who are you gonna go hire? Like who wants that job? Considering how bad it ended for Larry Fedora, how bad it ended for Mac Brown, how bad it's going to end with Bill Belichick. Like, it's going to be a hard job to sell. And especially, like, again, if NC State opens. Like, I would rather be in Raleigh than Chapel Hill right now as a football coach.
Makes sense. Jake, do you have a coach that you think is on the biggest hot seat?
I got two. Bill O'Brien, I think if it's bad, I think they're just going to go in a different direction. And Micah, I do like what you said. I don't even know if it's Bill's fault because, like, I think Bill is a good mind. And again, he did good when he was at Penn State in a rough situation. I just think that's a tough program to be in right now. Here's another one that I don't think this is a Dave Dorian situation. I think there's a scenario where Pat Narduzzi is not the head coach at Pitt by the end of the year. I do believe that. I haven't looked at their schedule. I just know what Pitt fan, like, again, and I use Pitt fans, the amount of fans they actually have that actually pay attention. They're starting to talk of like, hey, we're just mediocre year in and year out. Yeah, we had that good year with Kenny Pickett, but like we're not doing anything else. Micah, again, I do have my Penn State bias, but Pitt was my surprise team last year. Pitt was like the team where I was like, hey, I think Pitt can make noise this year in the ACC. And they lost to West Virginia. Granted, it was in West Virginia. And here's the other thing. They played East Carolina in a bowl game where Pitt was missing their starting linebacker and their running back, Desmond Reed, but I kind of thought Turner played better anyway. So essentially I thought like they were missing one starter. They lost to East Carolina that didn't have their quarterback, running back, number 2 receiver, and tight end, and lost to East Carolina in a bowl game. So like, again, I know we don't take bowl games at the same value as we used to, but like, I do think the patience for Narduzzi is running a little thin in Pittsburgh. And if they start slow, or if they have another 6-6 year, or 7-5, maybe he keeps it. But I think if they go 6-6, I do think Pitt might move on from Pat Narduzzi.
I just have a hard time, like, giving him too much flack because over the last 2 seasons, obviously that 23 season was terrible, that random 3-9 that came out of nowhere. But like the last 2 seasons, he's lost to a playoff team SMU, playoff team Clemson. Like Virginia wasn't great, but Virginia had taken a step forward, at least made a bowl game. You had Louisville, who's a top 25 team. That's your 4 of your some losses. I think the biggest issue is Pitt's just been stuck with they should not have lost to that ECU team. That was definitely the most disappointing ACC performance in bowl season because ECU had nobody. But also, let's be very clear: if you're Pitt and you you went in after you beat Georgia Tech, hey, there's still a chance we get to Charlotte, and then Miami blows your brakes off. And then you're rewarded with the freaking Military Bowl. You're 8-4. Your losses are the West Virginia loss is the only bad loss they had last season, pre-bowl game. Yeah. And even then, again, rivalry game in overtime. They played like crap for a half.
Hang on, they gave that game away.
Correct.
I was there, and I'm like top 25. I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah, Louisville top 25, Notre Dame top 10, Miami top 10 are your other 3 losses. And again, you're rewarded with the freaking Military Bowl. I mean, I get it. I love bowl season.
Do you not like Annapolis, Maryland in December?
No. No. I'm not gonna care. And the year before that, you know what your bowl game was after a 7-win season? Hey, here's Detroit. Have fun, buddy. They've been given the short end of the stick with bowl games the last 2 years. I'm not saying you don't put someone in that because at the end of the day, you should have still won that game. But
didn't they lose to Toledo?
They did in overtime or whatever.
6 overtimes.
6 overtimes. They lost in 8 overtimes. There's the 2-point conversion shootout 4 different times.
Can I interject for a second? Because I think I know. Here's my conspiracy: is that they know Pitt fans don't travel worth a damn, and that's why they don't get the benefit of the doubt.
Oh no, I wouldn't disagree. I would disagree with that statement. I'm just saying, if you're a player, some of your best players aren't there. And again, fair or not, all of us talking heads, you do the confidence bowl pick 'em. Pitt was pretty confident for a lot of people because it was just, ECU's got nobody playing in this game. So Pitt's going to win this football game because all the metrics say they should win by 20 because look at what they've done all regular season. Yeah. So you think you can roll out of bed and beat them. And if you know anything about ECU, which I think you guys do, is a scrappy, gritty program. So
they are.
Even the backups there are going to I'm not saying they're better than the starters, but let's be real. There's not a massive drop off at ECU from the starting quarterback to the backups. And your linemen are probably going to be your most drastic drop off, but even then it's probably not huge. It might be 10 pounds, 15 pounds. I just not making an excuse for them, but I think if that's why you want to move on, I mean, again, going back to it, what's the hype of the Pitt job?
It's not a glamorous. It's not a glamorous job.
Go out and get as the grass is always greener, guy. When Virginia's whole thing went down with Bronco, I was furious. Now, granted, Tony Elliott, great hire, but you kind of do that. What is the greener grass? And I mean, I'm not deep enough into the coaching lore to know who might be sitting in the weeds that might make sense for Pitt. I haven't gone that deep into it yet, but just a baseline looking at it, I don't disagree. It is very Dave Doran-esque, so I get it. I really do. It makes sense.
It's not again, just being in Pennsylvania, it's not a glamorous job. You're fighting for, listen, Pittsburgh has a lot of great football, high school football, but you're smack dab in the middle between Penn State and Ohio State.
My favorite tweet I've seen all offseason was someone said Pitt should play their home games at Duquesne and then just charge $500 a ticket because you get that beautiful view of the city. You get the river view. Nice. And that way, it's just an exclusive event that only rich people can go to. But everyone's on top of you, 2,000 people screaming instead of 15, 20, 25, 30,000 max in a 70,000 seated stadium.
Micah, they couldn't sell out the backyard brawl.
Could you imagine Miami of Ohio Pitt week 1 and you've got 2,000 people just on top of you? And all you have is the scenic view of I think it's the Allegheny. I think that's the river that runs right. Yes. I know there's a bunch that cross. I think the Allegheny is the one you see from Duquesne. Just talk about picturesque. I mean,
It is.
it'd be better than seeing a lot of empty yellow seats. I can tell you that.
Hey, listen, it's like Northwestern's temporary stadium on Lake Michigan. It was great.
But
great.
Way worse because it's all like y'all ever seen Duquesne Stadium? You just
Yeah.
there's
I've
no
been there.
seats. It's just like little like you pull up a folding chair and you just call it a day. It's awesome.
It looks like a small high school.
Having been there, I still can't believe I walked on a Division I FCS stadium that literally I just like parked on the campus and just hey, I'm on the field now.
Yeah. They use that for a bunch of stuff too. But yeah, it's like a rec field. It's no offense to Duquesne. It's comically small.
Yeah.
Nice view though. Nice view.
Nice view.
Last thing of this topic, could Dabo be fired? Or what does it have to take for Dabo to be fired during the year?
Miss a bowl game. I mean, he has to be missing a bowl game. You know what? I'll say this. Because their bye week is in a very convenient spot if you're trying to, air quotes, fire a coach.
Right.
If you get your butts handed to you by Lane Kiffin in Baton Rouge week 1, and then you struggle with Bill Belichick at home against North Carolina, and then you go to Cal on a Friday night where things get frisky out there, in Strawberry Canyon, and Cal wins that game, and then you have Miami at home the following week, and you're now, let's say you're 2-3 going into your bye week. I'm not saying you do it because I think you owe the man that's been your greatest coach of all time more respect than that. But I could understand, if it wasn't anyone named Dabo Swinney, that would be a solid spot to do it.
Yeah. No, I could see them trying to be like, hey, it's time to move on. And listen, it could be a giant mistake and they could be worse for it. But I think they're spinning the tires in the mud right now, I think. Again, unless Clemson comes back and, makes another run. But I think
my best case scenario, if Clemson struggles, if that 2-3 scenario happens, is Dabo does a little self-check and says, do I even want to do this anymore? And then you almost treat it as we'll be mutually parting ways at the end of the season.
End of the year. Yep.
Because you're not making the playoff unless you win the ACC at this point. And even then you'd have 2 ACC losses. So you got an uphill climb to even get back into that picture to be in Charlotte.
You're probably out. Right.
Now at least because again, I love the Andy and Ari show on 3. They said it best. Dabo Swinney is going to be your favorite coach when you're a Clemson fan in 2 years after he's gone. But until he leaves, you hate the man. And it's not fair, but that's just the world of sports that we live in, right? As an Orioles fan, man, those last few years of Chris Davis, I was not a big fan of him. But now that he's gone, man, I miss the glory days. And I loved Chris Davis, and I got a chance to meet him in Omaha, and I thought I was meeting my hero. But his last 2 seasons, I wanted nothing more than to see his butt on the bench every single night. So, that's just the world of sports and how our brains work when you're a fan.
All right. I love it. I think the way things change up it is funny to hear fans turn on people so quickly. But we'll get into the fun part of this show, the fun portion. One of the biggest things out of the offseason was the news that the Big 12 has signed a deal with Monster Energy to become the Monster Energy Big 12. If the ACC had a sponsorship for the conference, who would it be?
So I thought long and hard about this because that was one of the more fun questions. I'm not going to lie, guys. I might steal that for my show. So I'm going to give you credit when I do, but I might steal that. So this is my answer, and this might be the most absolutely slap in the face answer of all time. Allegiant Air, because the amount of cross country travel mixed with the fact that it's honestly, if y'all have ever flown Allegiant, it's a pretty solid airline, but it's definitely a cheap airline. You know what I mean? It screams like 3rd or 4th best airline. You know what I mean? So it just fits the ACC's and I don't know if you've ever flown Allegiant, but I've flown to a lot of ACC games on Allegiant when I lived in Florida, especially. They do a lot of flights from Houston out to, San Francisco. Very convenient, am I right? So, and they play on weird days of the week. So, the AC loves those Thursday, Friday games. Flights love to fly out of Allegiant on Thursday, Fridays. And Sundays, too, a very, very popular day on Labor Day weekend for the ACC. I mean, I originally was going to go Delta or American. It's no, Allegiant just makes. The only thing that ruins Allegiant for me is that UNLV Stadium's technically named after them. Makes me think West Coast. But, hey, we're a West Coast league now too. So
All Coast Conference.
All Coast Conference.
UNLV, pick up the phone. I'm just kidding.
Love it. That's excellent answer. Excellent answer. So, Micah, again, this is the fun part of the episode. So, we're going to talk tailgate stuff, Micah. Okay, we're going to talk some tailgate stuff. I need you to give me, let's just say it's a 3:30 kick. You need lunch, okay, at your tailgate. What is your go-to meal and a side for a lunch tailgate?
Man, call me a little old fashioned. The side's got to be buffalo chicken dip. Like it's just it crosses both barriers. Like you could almost make that your main if you really want to get frisky with it. But because I jokingly was gonna be like buffalo chicken dip and my side's beer, but I don't know if that's allowed for this game.
Not yet.
but no, I think buffalo chicken dip is the side, and then main. I mean, there's just nothing in my opinion better to tailgate than just a good old burger.
Yeah.
Like a good burger or a good brat, like I will say I'm not a Big Ten boy, but having tailgated out in Madison and out in Iowa City before, like when you get a good Midwestern brat on the grill, a crisp October day, I mean, there's just nothing better. So, I think a burger or a brat, but I'll say burger just because I think it's more universal across the board.
Mm-hmm.
So, or like now that I live down in the Texas, Louisiana, Jay, I didn't know what boudin was until I moved here.
Oh, yeah.
Good boudin link on the grill. I mean, goodness gracious, that thing is different.
What is boudin?
So boudin is a sausage that's made with rice in the casing. You just kind of have to have it.
Yeah,
it goes great if you squeeze it on a cracker. Like it's so good.
Like it's basically a sausage stuffed with some rice. Sometimes we get a couple peppers in there or something. Like it's just another sausage basically, but it's just for some reason it just works. It just does.
Jake, we got to get you back down here so you can have some boudin.
I know.
Micah, what is going to be your drink for this tailgate?
Be specific.
Oh, if we're being specific, the greatest alcoholic beverage I've ever had in my entire life.
Yes, this is what we want.
Do you guys know Bert Blyleven, former Minnesota Twin? You guys know that name? He's a legendary pitcher on World Series teams. He's like 80s. Like, okay. So anyways, when I worked for the Minnesota Twins, he introduced me to this. There's a Minnesota root beer called Killebrew root beer named after Harmon Killebrew. It's a less bubbly, more crisp, flat kind of root beer with a little bit of Bailey's in it. The greatest drink of all time because it just goes down like candy. Like first time I ever had it at a tailgate was Minnesota versus Ohio State on that like Labor Day first weekend after the first
CJ Stroud's first start.
Yeah.
I had 6 of those things. I should not be admitting this publicly. I don't know how I got into the game, guys. I remember everything once I got in, but I don't remember how I got it because those things just went down like that. Like I just thought I was drinking root beer. And then I found out, oh no, like, by the way, you're drinking a mixed drink. Oh, nice. So that is the, like, if I could just pick my like dream tailgate, it's that. The more commonly readily available though, nothing beats it. Just a nice crisp, like, I'm a big Blue Moon guy. So, a nice crisp Blue Moon, kind of citrusy vibe, just kind of, again, goes great with buffalo chicken dip. So for more readily available, because you can only find Killebrew root beer like in Minnesota, or like ordering it online. So maybe we'll make it a little more universal, but that's the dream scenario. If you want to,
there we go. Yes. Love it. That's exactly what we want. All right. Now you got a noon game, or for you guys, it's 11 Central. What is a breakfast tailgate food?
Kegs and eggs.
There we go. Okay.
The old Kegs reliable, nice omelet. Like I think again, it was Notre Dame. Yeah, it was Notre Dame was the first time I ever did like the kegs and eggs. It was at the Linebacker restaurant. Now, granted, it came with like
a wonderful establishment, Micah.
Correct.
One of my favorite establishmits.
Yeah, like the kegs and eggs there. And I also did it one time at Purdue on an 11 a.m. kick, actually. Like both of those were just it's just something about it, just kind of the first time I ever had a Guinness with eggs, thought that was a weird combo, but just the lightness, fluffiness of the egg meat with the dark beer just kind of worked. So I think like for me, that's probably, I'm not a big breakfast guy. So like, I really can't, like, I'd almost rather starve myself, like instead of going like heavy on a breakfast and then just going ham on like, if I'm in the North Carolina region, give me a massive cookout tray after the game or something like that, But I'm probably keeping it light again. Eggs perfect again, and it works because you can make it as an omelet. You can do it sunny side up. Like if you want to get a little frisky, maybe put like shout out to Texas. I never had breakfast tacos until I came down here, and those are game changers. Good. Like like I feel like there's a lot you can do with eggs. So maybe I'm just cheating and because it requires other things for a breakfast taco, but we're gonna just go basic here. Eggs and eggs.
Yep. Nah, I love that. Sticking with breakfast, what is your breakfast drink of choice? Are you going to go mimosa? Are you going to go Bloody Mary? Are you going to go with that Guinness that you mentioned?
No, I think I'm going to go light. I'm going to go like a Busch Light. Keep it light. Again, I want to keep it like if I'm going because the way my brain works as someone that likes to travel to a lot of games, so. My perfect world, I'm probably trying to get 2 games in if I'm at an 11 a.m. game. Like, where's another game I can go to at 7 o'clock, even if it's a D2 game? But even if it's not, like, I want to be able to be light so that way when I go back to the tailgate after the game, I can watch the games on the television and then go a little bit harder. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want my day to feel like it's over at 3:30. I want to be able to go a little bit into the night. I like to think I'm still young enough to want to push past, the 4 o'clock, like, time to go to bed feeling you get if you go too crazy for that 11 a.m. slot. So keep it light with a Busch Light.
Very rational thinking there. Tailgate game.
Cornhole. Yeah, I love cornhole. Like it's reliable. I'm not great at it, but I'm not bad. Like I'm the guy you want on your team if you want consistency. I'm not going to probably be able to be the guy that carries your team, but I'm not going to hurt you either.
Very nice.
I think cornhole has been the universal answer. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. It is a classic. Last piece. We need a tailgate song, Micah. What are you putting on the aux?
That's so tough. Because I don't
want to do multiple.
You say like multiple. Mr. Brightside or something. Like everyone plays that. That's just.
You can say multiple songs. We're not holding you to one.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just like, I think I want to go like, man, that's so, you know what? This is just a cop out. Give me the College Game Day theme. Like just something like just get me in that football spirit or like, I'll never forget. I was at a tailgate of Florida and I never heard the song Girls of the SEC by Chase Bryce. But I remember like when that song came on and then you see all the Florida girls get on top of the tailgates of the truck and start dancing. I'm like, this is what the SEC, when it says means more. This is what they meant.
This is what it means.
This is what they meant. So, something like that to just kind of like everyone looks around and goes, F yeah, it's time for football. But it doesn't have to be too again, Mo Bamba swag surfing gets overplayed. I want something that maybe is played, but maybe doesn't get or I remember I heard the old Fox or old CBS NFL entrance in there one time at a tailgate. I was like I want to go run. I want to go Bills Mafia and jump through a table, something like that. That gets me kind of amped up, but because it just brings back that hey, it's football.
Yeah. Do you remember the original Game Day song before Big and Rich?
But I don't know if the one I have in my head is the original or if maybe
Bubba Sparks, Back in the Mud. Was the original, right. And oh my God, I love. And they had they were individual for the week too, where they were throw little things in there. But I thought it was the coolest intro ever.
Because that was when they We're Coming to Your City one. That one was really good too.
Well, that was that was the one. I think they're still doing the Big and Rich one.
Yeah, but they've now strayed off the beaten path a little because it used to be a lot more focused, right? They would say players' names, they would say the matchups. Now it's just they just say oh Gainesville, oh Athens, oh Columbus, which again makes sense why they skip over the great tailgates or great opportunities like the Arkadelphia rivalry. Instead of to go to Georgia for the second time in a season.
Ouachita Baptist and Henderson State.
Yeah, I actually went there for the first time 2 weeks ago. I was driving back from Northwest Arkansas. I went an hour and a half out of my way because I wanted to see how close they were. I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool.
Bubba Sparks. I've heard that name in a long time. Micah, before we go, have you been up to Happy Valley? Yeah,
I have not. I was actually going to try to potentially go this year, but I know the stadium's still kind of getting some work, so I think I'll wait till it's done. I've been to Happy Valley. I've been to a baseball game at State College, but I've never actually been inside Beaver Stadium.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, I live 30 minutes from there. Hit me up if you're looking to make a trip. Jay has already done so. I have to get down to Texas, but Micah, before we close up shop here, tell everyone where they can follow you at.
Yeah, so you can find us at JML_ACC. That's our Just Means Less ACC account. And I'm a big football guy, and I'll tweet football, but mainly when I do, it's just on my Just Means Less account. I do a lot of college baseball stuff, if that interests you, on my at Micah_CBC. What I do for football, or I used to do for football, I do more so now for baseball, where just more of a niche audience that I feel like has been underreported, where we got good reporters like the Get Back Coach guys, to cover college football. We don't have that as much in the college baseball world, so I try to be that. But, I do call some college, I like to say my content's fun over there because it is still like a lot of travel content. At CFB Campus Tour, I like to joke I'm the college baseball version of him. So, it's hopefully you'll want to come over and follow. But obviously, if you want ACC stuff at JML, we'll be starting our team takeovers here in about a week. So if you want more deep end coverage of what every ACC school has to offer, from this year's team to recent trends to what their stadiums or college towns are like, again, I can at least say I've been to every ACC stadium for a game. So, I at least kind of know what to expect in every ACC venue. So feel free to check us out there, I guess.
Absolutely love it. And a reminder to everybody, we will be back Monday nights for the live stream. It will be out. The podcast will be out everywhere you listen to podcasts on Tuesday morning. But Monday nights at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Jay, let's land this plane.
Yeah, first of all, Micah, we appreciate you coming on. Make sure to follow him, folks. To all the listeners, we appreciate what you do. Help us do all the things that help us keep growing as a podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, share. Word of mouth is still a great form of advertising. We appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you for tuning in.
Oh, and lastly, check out our new YouTube channel. It is new and improved. I transferred a lot of our TikToks on there. Jay is going to get some of his on there as well. But check out our new and improved YouTube channel. But from all of us at the Get Back Coach, have a good week.